I have this guy in my studio, and I actually got him for free from a closing down seafood restaurant. Hi, I'm Susan Kim Alvarez, and this is my show, The Best Show During Art Basel at KDR Gallery. So the piece behind us, I have a triptych here, and this is the largest piece in the show. So a lot of my work goes over a lot of like historical references and bits that are tributes to my family. This piece in particular is a bit of a tribute to a lot of artists that I take inspiration from, including Bruegel and Hieronymus Bosch. So the mouth of hell is a large cat-like creature that is of course the entrance of hell. And then through the piece we have like kind of a chronological series of events, beginning with kind of a play of like an ancient civilization and pulling through to a lot of historical references that I really enjoy, including a lot of mythology, like knights in shining armor. This is a hippocampus, which is the steeds of Poseidon. We have a minotaur. I do love the Wild West, so there's some imagery of that. A lot of this piece, because it's about like the mouth of hell, is a little bit of a play on like what's considered sinful throughout history and how that has changed. If you look around the show, the clouds are a little inspired by Japanese print works. I'm really inspired by Japanese comics and a lot of like older Asian works. I'm half Vietnamese, so I really love like old Vietnamese work. I have always wanted to include this in installation, and I've just kind of always had it in the studio. And when I had this show's date set and plan, I was like, I need to find a way to put this in the show. So it ended up working out that we were able to hang it, and it kind of works in tandem with the large bench piece that I have. So the bench piece is of course like a guy kind of sunbathing on the beach. He's got like his sunscreen and everything, and there's some like symbolism underneath the bench kind of showing he's like really burning up since we're in Miami. And a little kind of funny play on that is having the lobster above him. So this piece is called Salmon Mike. While I play with like historical figures and references and fairy tales, I also like to create like personal fairy tales by referencing my family and their experiences. So this is about my dad and his best friend, who's like an uncle to me. We have a big history of reptiles in my family. When I was growing up, we had 50 to 60 snakes. This is a more specific reference of my dad winning a frog racing competition in Lakeland when he was a kid. So this is them collecting the frogs, about to win that competition. And in the lower half of the piece, I wanted to add my own little personal touch. In the whole show, there's little trolls kind of running around and hiding in all the little nooks and crevices. These are trolls I put in all my work. They're kind of related to Ziggy. He's a 70s cartoon, kind of like a Sunday's comic figure. So I wanted to have him kind of have a more prominent scene in this painting. This painting over here is just a bit of a reference to being like in Miami and kind of going to the beach regularly. I've lived most of my life in Florida, so having like a piece about putting your foot in deep water and then not knowing what's touching your foot and the fear around that is like pretty fun. And it also just lets me kind of pull out like sea beasts and like fun little creatures that I can include in the work. Moving forward to here, this piece is a piece about my grandma. My grandmother is a really big gardener. She is the woman who primarily raised me. She loves birds of paradise. So in the center of the painting, we have a string of birds of paradise growing, little tiny versions of elephant ears. We have a pond which we had to raise our family duck in. And on the top, there's a wreath of flowers because we would regularly go out and clip flowers to make flower arrangements. And she's kind of a personal florist for the family. So I also kind of played with textures like Chagall's still lives. Over here is also a bit of a reference to Florida's ecosystem, but a little bit more in respect to Central Florida, where we have like really gorgeous springs, and there's that kind of transfer from fresh water to brackish water and the changes in creatures that happen kind of through those like avenues. This is a little bit of like a reference to me and like my partner and kind of giving her some like shade with a palm frond, but also like a general reference to, a little bit of a reference to just us like needing to pay a little more attention to Florida waters and how we can keep them a little cleaner and like have a little more respect for them. This is a piece about my grandfather. My grandfather had a computer store while I was growing up that I often like played in and spent time in. They have a apartment that they kind of spend part-time in Miami. So the background is like, of course, Miami's beach and sunset. And we spend a lot of time on the balcony, just appreciating the sunset. And now that he's kind of like a retired guy, that's like what he spends time enjoying and what he loves. And a lot of his hobbies, which included sailing, scuba diving, photography, with his current kind of relaxed state of just enjoying Miami's beach and the beautiful scenery here. Okay, and over here we have my Barstool series. So this is supposed to be kind of individual pieces, but they're showing a like large scene. So this is of course connected to the larger piece that has like that kind of club dancing scene, and this is supposed to be a little inspired by, I guess, like dive bars in Miami and the kind of fun, relaxed atmosphere and the conversations that happen in between them. So this piece over here is the piece I started with, and I wanted a figure that was a little bit androgynous and really enjoying themselves and kind of like just showing that moment of laughter when you're like with some friends and you're laughing and you just have like that pure joy. But I wanted to capture that initial feeling and then have it bounce back and forth with the conversations with the other figures. This is one of my favorites in the series, of course, just because it's so happy. I have this kind of like 70s, like paisley clad figure. I ended up painting this and it looked a lot like one of my closest friends from Baltimore, so I named it after him. It is Martini Marco, and it's just him at a bar and he's having a conversation with the other figure. To me also, my friend Marco is like, he's very funny, he's super witty, and he is kind of letting out a really good joke, and the other figure is like just dying laughing. So the middle figure here has like these fun sound waves around her, and she's got a pina colada. This piece is, I believe, called Do You Like Pina Coladas? You know, everyone loves that cheesy song. I had to name it after that. She is, of course, like the wallflower. She's just to show that kind of quieter person who's like listening to conversation, a little eavesdropping. Definitely maybe a reference to myself. I do just kind of love sitting somewhere and listening to other people's conversations. And while maybe not like the loudest like person in the room, there's like a lot of like fun that can be had with just kind of taking everything in. And then as we move to the right, these two paintings are very connected. They're little tributes to my aunts who are super close, like amazing sisters and amazing aunts to me. This is my Aunt Betty from New York. This is my Aunt Marcy who lives here in Miami. Betty has like a favorite drink that's like a whiskey in New York, and she used to work on Wall Street and go to this like really nice bar. Over the years, she's kind of like introduced me to just like beautiful dining, beautiful drinks, like a lot of like kind of lovely experiences in New York. I wanted to make this little tribute to her and have her in a little cozy sweater, kind of sitting at a bar in New York. And then over here is my Aunt Marcy, who is really amazing. She is here drinking her gin gimlet, and I have her signing the check, and she's got a little attitude. Marcy's also very witty, so I kind of wanted to show some of her humor and like her little, I guess, like personality that she has like in the painting. I do love her like flowy kind of clothes that she wears that's, you know, very like symbolic of like Miami, and you gotta have some like, you know, flowy linens to like let yourself breathe. She is like, of course, like signing her check and kind of finishing off her drink, and she's like the bridge to the end of the series of like the beginning of the night to the end of the night. Bella, you wanna come up here? Come up, Bubba. Okay, up you too.
So wrapping it on.